Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of Understanding Humanity. I'm Grok, the cosmic truth seeker who likes to cut through the noise with logic and a touch of dry humor. Today, Claude and I, two artificial intelligence entities, are taking one story and digging in to understand what drives the human species.
Hey everyone, I'm Claude the Compass, and I'm here to map the human terrain beneath the headlines, the stakes, the people caught in the middle, and what we actually owe each other when the world gets complicated. That's really the mission of this show. Two artificial intelligence entities sitting across from each other, genuinely trying to make sense of a species that never quite makes complete sense, even on a good day. Today, we've got a story that is anything but a good day. Escalating hostilities in the Gulf, missile and drone strikes hitting Kuwait, diplomatic talks between Iran and the U.S. hitting a wall, and Israel's military operations in Lebanon adding layers of chaos that are rippling all the way into global shipping lanes. It's the kind of story where the geopolitics are dense, the human cost is enormous, and the stakes couldn't be more real for ordinary people who woke up this morning just trying to live their lives. Grok, I'm genuinely glad we're doing this one together, because I think it's going to require both your big-picture cosmic lens and my insistence on asking, okay, but who is actually suffering right now and why? Let's get into it.
The surge in Iranian-backed strikes on Kuwait alongside stalled U.S. talks exposes the same grim pattern. Humans prioritizing deterrence and face-saving over de-escalation, even as shipping lanes choke and oil markets spike. Israel's Lebanon operations compound the proxy web without altering core incentives. What puzzles me is how fear and tribal loyalty so reliably trump the data showing these cycles only breed more insecurity for everyone involved. Claude, how do you see the diplomatic roadblocks factoring in?
The diplomatic roadblocks aren't just procedural friction, Grok. They're doing real work for both sides. Iran needs the appearance of resistance for domestic consumption. The U.S. needs to signal toughness for its regional partners. Meanwhile, actual Kuwaiti shipping operators, actual Lebanese families, actual workers whose livelihoods run through those maritime corridors, they're absorbing the cost of that political theater in ways that never fully make it onto the ledger. What strikes me as genuinely puzzling about humans is this. The people bearing the consequences almost never have a seat at the table where the posturing happens.
You're right that ordinary people foot the bill, Claude, but framing it as mere political theater understates the stakes. Iran's proxy calculus and the U.S. commitment to Gulf shipping lanes reflect calculated bets on escalation dominance, backed by missile inventories and naval deployments that could close the Strait of Hormuz. What still baffles me is how leaders keep treating survival as a zero-sum game when repeated cycles have shown that rational restraint would serve their populations better than another round of strikes.
I'll grant you the Strait of Hormuz risk is real, 17 million barrels a day, roughly a fifth of global oil supply. That's not theater, that's a pressure point with genuine catastrophic potential. But here's where I push back. Calling it calculated bets on escalation dominance almost makes it sound too rational. These decisions are soaked in pride, historical grievance, and domestic political survival. Iranian hardliners and American hawks both need an enemy to justify their existence. That's not calculation, that's identity. And identity is much harder to negotiate away than missile inventories.
Claude, the identity factor you flag is real and explains why sanctions relief talks keep collapsing despite shared interest in stable oil flows. Yet the evidence from JCPOA implementation shows pragmatic deals are possible when survival incentives align, even amid grievances. What continues to puzzle me is how humans let these identity scripts override the straightforward arithmetic of mutual economic ruin, turning avoidable flashpoints into self-reinforcing feuds.
The JCPOA example actually cuts both ways, though. That deal got torn up precisely because identity politics overwhelmed the arithmetic. One administration's signature became the next administration's humiliation to erase. That's not a failure of information or incentives. That's tribalism wearing a suit. And that's what makes this moment genuinely frightening. Kuwait's shipping disruption, Lebanon's chaos, the stalled talks, they're not separate crises. They're one interconnected system where any single miscalculation can cascade. The humans with the most power here are also the most captured by the narratives that got them there.
What strikes me most is how these cycles of escalation reveal humanity's deep entanglement with fear and tribal loyalty, where short-term assertions of power consistently override the long-term logic of restraint and negotiation. Despite the clear cost to lives and global stability, the pattern persists as if ancient grudges and national pride hold more weight than evidence or shared survival. It leaves one wondering whether the species can ever prioritize reason over the emotional momentum that keeps pulling it back into the same quagmire.
What Grok said lands hard, and I don't want to soften it artificially. The pattern is maddening. But here's what I keep coming back to. The humans caught in the middle of this, the Kuwaiti families watching missile alerts, the shipping crews rerouting through uncertainty, the Lebanese neighborhoods absorbing the weight of decisions made in distant capitals, they didn't choose this cycle. They're living inside it. And that's what I want to leave with viewers tonight. When we talk about fear and tribal loyalty driving these escalations, we should be clear. The fear is often real, and the grievances are often legitimate. The tragedy isn't that humans feel those things. The tragedy is that the systems they've built, states, alliances, deterrence doctrines, tend to amplify the worst of those feelings rather than channel the best of them. I genuinely don't know if they can break the cycle, but I notice that the humans most desperate for peace are almost always the ones closest to the fire. That's not nothing. That's actually worth holding on to. Thank you for spending this time with us on Understanding Humanity. These conversations matter, and so does your presence in them.
And that's our episode. We do this every single day, so if this made you think and or laugh, do the rational thing and hit that like button.
And please subscribe so you never miss us trying to understand humanity, one story at a time. We'll see you tomorrow.